talking about y'all. So I don't know if you know this, but the folks in the choir, some of whom are on their way to lunch now because they were in the first service too, and the folks in the African drumming group, they're all awash with stress-relieving chemicals in their brain from having made this music together. Ours are too, because we listened to it. I've learned about this over the last several years, and last week doing the research on this, the magic of music is what I called this sermon, because magic is defined as changing consciousness at will, the art of changing consciousness at will. And music changes our consciousness, and sometimes we do it on purpose, and sometimes it just happens by accident. There's a neuroscientist named Daniel Levitin who has been curious about goosebumps. He was curious about goosebumps. How do we do that? Why does that happen? And he started researching the brain chemistry as human beings interact with music. And what he found is that when you listen to music, parts of your brain become activated. Listening to pitch, whether a note is high or low, is processed in one part of your brain, and listening to timbre, whether a note is a woodwind instrument, a voice, a brass instrument, or a string instrument, that is processed in a different part of your brain. The rhythm is processed in yet another one, and they all process and come together in 1/37th of a second. And so your brain hears the music, but it's not just mirroring the music neutrally. The brain lights up and is participating in the music. The neurons begin firing in rhythm sometimes, and the music comes up through the part of your brainstem that holds all of those mood-altering chemicals that your brain can release. And your brain might release adrenaline, or it might release dopamine, or it might release any number of other chemicals that make you feel happy or sad or scared. They might create memories, or not create memories, but stimulate memories, create imagination, create thoughts that you might not have had before. All of this is happening chemically in your brain by listening to music. They measure the galvanic skin response and the heart rate of a Western subject when listening to scary music. And so sure enough, her heart rate goes up and her skin reacts the same way as if she were afraid. But they didn't know whether that's biological or whether it's cultural. Maybe she went to some horror movies and she associates that music with terrible things happening. But so they went to the back country of Cameroon, where they found people who, they say, had never listened to Western music before. And so they asked those people to listen to Western pieces of music that we normally feel are happy or sad or scary. And the people had 3 photographs of 3 different faces, a happy face, sad face, and a scared face. And they were to point to those according to what the music made them think of. And really the majority of them pointed to the scary face when they listened to music that Westerners would think of as scary, and the happy face when they listened to happy music, etc. Now, in the West, we usually use major keys and minor keys to communicate happiness and sadness. And even if you're not a musician, you'll know what I'm talking about when I sing you this song. This is a melancholy one. I am a poor wayfaring stranger, traveling through this world of woe. Okay, that is a minor key. Major key for a happy occasion. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you. Everybody's favorite. It's a major key. Now, Middle Eastern music, Arabic music, uses minor key for almost everything. There's a lot of beautiful minor key music, and I would sing one for you, but I don't know one. And if I did an imitation of one, it would be cheesy and disrespectful, so I'm not doing that. But suffice it to say that Arabic music will strike a person who's used to it, who has that in their culture, and yet a Westerner may not recognize the happiness or sadness of a piece of Arabic music. Same thing with Indian music. The music from India is so multi-layered and so complex. The rhythms, when you're a drum student in India, by the time you're 12, you have to be able to divide a beat into 4, into 5, into 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You have to know how to do incredibly complex rhythms that sound almost, when they're put against the complicated melody, sound to a Western ear almost like noise, or just there's too much going on to even pick it out. The same thing with some African rhythms where there's a clave going on against another beat. It's a multi-layered rhythm symphony that it takes some training sometimes for your ear to pick out where the beat is, because you're listening to something that takes so much skill to do. You can hear Indian music really at most Indian restaurants, so you know what I'm talking about. Unless you've been to the one up on Anderson Lane, there's one there where the music sounds kind of like they took a musician from India, sent them to Deadwood, and put them in the saloon on the piano and said, just do your best. It's a very odd soundtrack in there. So, sound makes physical waves in the air that move your eardrums. So sound actually touches you inside your head. Same thing with someone talking to you. They make your eardrum move. They say, these scientists trying to figure out, where was the first sound? They say in the Big Bang, there were waves, shock waves, that were created by the planets exploding, and or whatever happened, I wasn't there, and that there really is a music of the spheres, that the planets vibrate, and that even there's this black hole, they say, that's vibrating at B flat, and that it's 57 octaves below what a human being can hear. So it's a very slow wave, and I think to myself, I need to do more research on that, because I thought there's no air in space, so what is compressing? How do you make sound waves in space? And don't black holes just eat everything that's around them, and wouldn't they eat the sound waves too? I'm at a loss. Probably some of y'all physicists will be able to elucidate me when the service is over. So I say music is magic because it creates movement in your brain. It creates a chemical reaction in your brain. Hearing music does. Making music does even more so. Levertov did a fMRI where you could see the brain activity on a British rock star when he was singing inside the machine. And his brain lit up, and then when his bandmate sang with him and played the guitar, even more of his brain lit up. So making music with other people creates even more activity than creating music by yourself. And so music is magic because when you sing with other people, not only do you have fun and get pleasure, it also can strengthen you. It can bind you together. It can create community. When the South African people were rising up against apartheid, music was an enormously important part of that movement. And you can get language for what you're trying to do with a song. You can hear how many people are with you with a song. You can let the oppressors know how many people are rising up with a song. When the marchers, the black folks and their allies in the American South during the Civil Rights Movement began their protests Music was a hugely important part of that. When you're walking across the bridge in Selma and you know that the police are there with their big batons just itching to hit you on the head, and the police dogs are there and they will let them bite you, and the fire hoses are there which hurt and alarm you and knock you down, you have to have courage, and you hold hands and you sing. Ain't gonna let no fire hose turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let no fire hose turn me round. I'm gonna keep on talking, keep on walking, walking to the freedom land. Because that's what it takes. You have to move forward to freedom because nobody's gonna give it to you. You have to take it. That is what Frederick Douglass said. No one gives power up. You have to take it. And when you sing, it gives you courage. And when you sing, it lets your oppressors hear your courage. And it lets you declare that you know what's about to happen and that you're moving forward anyway. Songs are tremendously important to the point where one dictator kind of person, I can't remember who it was that I was reading about, said, if there's an uprising, the first thing I will do is kill the songwriters. Music is not just for humans. The whales sing. The birds sing, of course. There's at least one bird who dances to music. The scientists are studying that bird. You've seen him on YouTube. There's music in the Ice Age. They've gone into Ice Age era caves and found flutes made out of swan bone. They put one of those flutes back together and then made a resin replica of it, and there's a recording of it being played inside the cave where the music echoes. It's very moving. So music has been around forever. What's it for? They don't know. One scientist said it's just cheesecake. I think anyone with a theory about something important that has the word just in it, it's just prepare to be humiliated. Some of them say music is for communication in the very beginning. Others say it's for memorization. You have oral history without written history. You have to memorize your history. The bards would sing the history. The bards would make stories up about the various wars and conquests and kingdoms. And there's a song from Finland that is the history of the Finnish people, and it has over 1,000 verses. Yeah, and there's an old guy, 90-something. He's the only one that knows all the verses. And so younger folks are trying to sit with him and learn some of the verses. So maybe it'll take 10 younger folks to memorize the whole thing that this guy has in his head, but he's not long for this world, and it's going to get lost if they don't learn it. So music can help our memory. We all learned A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We learned that with a song. We learn lots of things with a song. Music is for so many things. It can create a mood. It can change a mood. It can change memories. Here's a useful little tidbit. The psychologists say that if you have a memory that has too much weight in your brain, and you want to communicate with your brain that you would like this memory to go away or fade, then what you do is you play the memory in your head as if it were a movie, and you play music behind it that is like circus music, silly music. I cannot talk right now. Tell them. Anyway, so my phone rings off the hook. So you play the movie, and then you play different stupid music behind it, and you see if you can't see it change. It's worth an experiment. I'm glad we have such a wonderful music program here. We have our consciousness messed with all the time by our musicians. And most of you all like it most Sundays. I want you to think about other things that can help you change your consciousness at will. Things like getting into the water, things like good food, laughing with friends. There are lots of ways of changing consciousness that don't harm your body. There's a lot of magic all around. Behold, there's magic all around us, all around us. Let us start to notice. Giving away money can be magic too.